Hello and welcome to Network. My name is Spumelele Zondi with your technology and social media news. Remember that if you want to be a part of this technology conversation, you can find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. You can also use the hashtag SABC Network. Here's what's coming up in the program. The South African Department of Telecommunications is looking for startups with innovative ideas to help the government. Researchers study new quake technology to curb elephant poaching. And it was International NGO Day recently. Our discussion is on how these organizations can use Facebook for their initiatives. Emila Gandhi from Facebook is here for that one. Hello and thank you very much for joining us, Emila.
Thank you for having me.
Now, how easily can these organizations use Facebook?
So, you know, Facebook, our mission really is to give people the power to build community and bring the world closer together. And NGOs have a big role to play in that mission. But we'll discuss that later.
Yeah, we'll definitely discuss that later in the program. First, let's start with your technology and social media news. With the fourth industrial revolution upon us, the Department of Telecommunications is seeking new young innovative companies to forge a path that will help government improve service delivery.
Innovators such as Amazon and Uber have dramatically shaped how consumers and citizens expect to be served. From tracking deliveries and requests to offering speedy services and timely product feedback, government is now turning to technological developments to offer seamless experience, and it's changing the landscape of citizen satisfaction and interaction.
As government that we do reviews and assessments, and therefore when we get report, this is how far we have performed, this is how far we have gone, we then start to think, what is it that we're not doing right? And therefore, how do we make sure that we reach out to those that can help us? Because remember, as government, it doesn't mean we know it all. That is why the NDP is a document that is owned by everyone. It is a program that requires every citizen in South Africa to have a say and a niche to identify in terms of making sure that it is implemented.
Now, Telecommunications Department has partnered with SETA to launch a hackathon challenge and are looking for startups with innovative ideas that will help government improve service delivery.
Our mandate is to continuously make sure that technology is used effectively to improve public service delivery, right? So that's our job, and we're supposed to, of course, work with the rest of the industry to do so. We're supposed to work also with the rest of society to build a skills pool for the present and also for the future, because the fundamental issue is about continuous improvement in the quality of life. So what we are doing right now is actually our job, but it's in recognition of the fact that we have to do this thing with the broader society.
The hackathon will bring together developers, community members, and programmers in a 2-day marathon.
What we can do is assist the government in terms of building technology that can help to improve the quality of our service delivery. So, for example, with electricity shortage in rural communities, we can build a robot that goes along with the sun and rotates throughout the day to obtain as much energy as possible that we can deliver into rural communities that are not so fortunate to have electricity.
My solution will help the government to monitor the water usage through application, and also my application detects the water leakage. So once there is a water leakage detection, the system will shut down automatically to avoid water wastage.
Finalists will be given an opportunity to present their products to a group of judges who are experienced venture capitalists before winners are announced.
We are looking for value in respect of the ability to solve problems as defined in the National Development Plan. Remember, the National Development Plan creates a beacon for all of us around where we want to go as a society. So the ones that win are the ones that are inspired appropriately in terms of location of the problem statement, right? And then the second thing is they're located appropriately in terms of the ability to their effectiveness as solutions.
Application closed on July 1st.
So go on and answer, you don't have much time there. Now, the iProtect Intelligent Protection Device is a new device by Stratec. It's a South African gadget that assists people who are being mugged.
It is an electronic device that consists of many factors. That includes GPS location, an integrated camera, as well as a loud siren to attract attention.
The relationship with Stratic was developed around taking 5 technologies and housing it in one device so that when a user is going through any kind of threat or emergency, as they press that device, everything happens in an instant. It comes through to the control center, and that control center is linked to 100 organizations in an official capacity. Our primary organizations is SABC, the Hawks, crime intelligence, medical organizations and crisis centers, security companies, and our user database is 1.5 million.
When activated, it actually triggers all of these responses. The GPS location is sent to our 24/7 control room that will dispatch the nearest and closest help to your location. This device is also unique in the sense that it disperses a mixture of pepper spray to deter the assailant or the attacker, as well as a unique synthetic DNA marker that is unique to each and every device.
DNA is composed of these 4 distinct universal chemicals whose shorthand notation is A, T, C, and Gs. And these molecules have the ability to bind to each other in a given order. And it is the specificity of this order in every sequence, DNA sequence, association of different molecules, which gives the technology the absolute specificity and the uniqueness.
Now, scientists are working on quake technology that will help decipher elephant vibrations. This is in efforts to receive early warning alerts against poachers.
Seismic instruments more commonly used to detect earthquakes are being used to pick up elephant vibrations in Kenya and could lead to an early warning alert against poachers, according to scientists from the University of Oxford.
This is what's known as a geophone. So it's a microphone for the ground. So basically you've got a component in there that will respond to kind of up-down vibration. So very simply, you can impale that into the ground. So once your geophone is in the ground, it will monitor any up-down vibrations that you might generate. So for example, I might hit the ground and I'm able to detect the vibration through the ground.
Working together with conservation charity Save the Elephants, the researchers believe that elephant behavior could be inferred from their vibrations and even help us better understand how the iconic and intelligent creatures communicate with each other. The study, published in the journal Current Biology, states that the real-time monitoring of poacher threat in remote landscapes is important for species conservation, but concede that much more data is required to develop and robustly test these methods in practice.
After the break, we chat about how NGOs can utilize Facebook. Emila Gandhi is in studio for that one. Stay with us.
News at 9. We go beyond the headlines of the day and breaking news to bring you all the angles and in-depth analysis of stories that impact your life. We are on the ball with all economic stories. Our bureaus around the globe are ready to connect you to events as and when they happen. So join us every day at 9 to zoom in on the day's big stories.
How safe is social media? 25 years into democracy and we're still battling with apartheid. Are we really the so-called rainbow nation?
If we can go there, they will beat us something or chase us away or kill you.
Not forgetting the dangers of substance abuse.
When he brought those things and came to us, it was looking so tasty with crushed lemons and strawberry and colorful straws.
Importance of education for all.
Ngiphatha kabuhlungu ngoba abantu abaqalile ukuba ngizofunda apha nitba ndiyazi.
Yes, igrosa mhead, but igrosa ngizoyidla and then what ngihlele estradeni.
Is the judiciary and government failing the people of South Africa? These are some of our stories on Cutting Edge. Catch it every Sunday at 5:30.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. News Network at sabc.co.za on email. Thank you very much for being a part of our network tonight. Now, it was World NGO Day recently. We've seen how social media has been used as a tool to mobilize all over the world. This has led to real social change in parts of the world and a change of leadership in some countries. There are also leaders who respond with anger when people use social media to mobilize. But folks at Facebook feel it is a good tool for NGOs. Joining me in studio to talk about this is Emela Gandhi, who is the SADC Public Policy Manager at Facebook. Hello, thank you very much for joining us, Emela.
Thank you for having me.
It was World NGO Day. You organized an event for that. What was going on there?
So yes, this week we had over 200 NGOs coming together to create a dialogue on how best they can use technology to ensure that they can reach their supporters, they can reach some of the NGOs to connect, to collaborate, to learn. And it was a day of conversations and also networking.
All right, and was it a good event, would you say?
It was a fantastic event, not just, I think not just for the NGOs, but for us as well as Facebook, because we got to get feedback on our tools, and we also got to know some of the challenges that the NGOs are having in using our technologies.
And how can NGOs utilize social media and Facebook specifically?
So there are a number of ways that NGOs can utilize Facebook or any of the apps in our family like WhatsApp. But firstly, I think NGOs need to know the content, content and engagement. They need to prioritize that, because technology can go as much far. But with the NGOs knowing what exactly they want to communicate with their with other NGOs and with other supporters, that would be very useful. Also, NGOs can use our platforms for mentorship and support. Traditionally, our platform has been of use to the people that are in your network or people that you know. But also, it is good to reach out to other people who might not necessarily be in your network, but can provide mentorship and support.
You just mentioned actually that there are other platforms in your family. You mentioned WhatsApp. What else is in your family?
So there's WhatsApp, there's Instagram as well.
In Africa, they have been used in the past, your platforms, that is. Can you just give us some of those examples where you feel that they've been used?
Yeah, so in South Africa, I'll give you an example of the South African Institute of International Affairs, which is linked to the Wits University. And how they've used Facebook is that, they produce this academic research, but they realize that it's only, getting to their community that only knows the research that they're doing. So they used Facebook to ensure that they can reach out to other audiences that were not necessarily part of their networks. We also have Livity Africa using WhatsApp to communicate with teenagers around online safety. So different NGOs using different ways. I'm sure you are connected to some NGOs on Facebook, and they're using the platform in various ways.
Yeah, you just gave us examples of the positives. There have been negatives as well in terms of how some governments respond. We can look at Zimbabwe, for example, where there could be a social media shutdown or a complete internet shutdown. We can look at the DRC, for example, so people don't use your platforms to mobilize. What's your take on that when governments then decide that's because your platforms are being used to mobilize and then mobilization is resulting in protest action on the ground and therefore they'll be blocked?
Yeah, so as Facebook, we oppose internet shutdowns, throttling or disruption of internet services in any form. Why? Because it has negative effects on social and economic, outputs within the country. But also it separates families, it separates friends. It infringes on basic human rights, freedom of expression. I feel, and I think the governments, instead of shutting down the internet, they need to invest more in knowing more about the technology and how they can use it to speak to different, not just NGOs, but to their citizens. And also, shutting down the internet it's not just shutting down the social media platforms or shutting down Facebook or WhatsApp, but it's also denying people the right to access to information. And in times of crisis or emergencies, what you need is access to information, not the opposite.
Earlier, you also did mention that during your conversations with NGOs a couple of days ago, they told you how they would also like to you to improve the way they can use these platforms. Can you just share a bit about that with us?
Yeah, so the NGO Day was not just a one-way street of having conversations. It was a dialogue where we were also learning from the NGOs. And one of the feedbacks that we got from the NGOs was just not knowing where to go. Do they create a page? What do they need to create? So just create, knowing the basics of the platform. And we do have a toolkit where NGOs can go, which is nonprofits.fb.com, where there is all this information. But one of the requests that we received from NGOs is we need contextualized information. We need it in a space where we can refer to it and it's more meaningful to us. And we will take that feedback very seriously because we really value these conversations with NGOs.
Emila Gandhi, thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you so much, Spumelele.
All right. Now, Emila Gandhi there is a public policy head at Facebook in the SADC region. Now, this week, we also caught up with radio and TV talk show host Babi Moloi, and she told us what her favorite piece of technology is.
Hello, my name is Babi Moloi, and my favorite innovation has to be Waze. It's either Waze or Google Maps or the GPS. I tell you, no matter where I go across the world, I like to drive myself. And so before, actually let me not lie, before when I looked at maps, I wasn't driving. I'm very, very young. And so now I'm able to just open up a application on my phone, no matter where I am across the globe, and it lets me know where I need to go, where to turn left and how many meters, etc. and so forth. And I'm pretty much 98.7% of the time spot on.
Violent protests have spread throughout the province for a second week now.
It shows that the ANC here cannot put the people first, and services have failed here. That's why this Northwest becomes a very important province.
We've almost got brought. Kom. Next. Ja. Voor in jou bakjes is lighter. Kom, maak sit in jou kop, fuck.
At the end of the day, Babang, the maternal death and all that, we are to be blamed because of overcrowding of the patient.
I will build a great, great wall on our southern border, and I will have Mexico pay for that wall. And nobody builds walls better than me, believe me.
Our stories.
How do I begin?
Our lives. When all seems to fail, we will raise our voices a bit louder for our justice.
Well, I went into absolute shock. My whole body was shaky. I couldn't hold a phone, but there he was. I couldn't believe the nonchalance that they were still in the area 2 weeks later.
And in times when the justice system is not able to help us with our individual battles,
I'm willing to do anything. What are you doing? Nothing. Feeling sorry for yourself? No, it's not an option.
These are our stories on Cutting Edge Channel.
It is SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Welcome back. Now, a newly launched robotics engineer, Barbie doll, sets out to spark a computer coding interest in young girls, and Volkswagen's electric sports car breaks a record in racing competition. These are some of the stories that may take headlines in the rest of the world.
Barbie, the world's most iconic doll, is venturing into coding skills in her latest career as a robotic engineer. The new doll, launched on Tuesday, aims to encourage girls as young as 7 to learn real coding skills thanks to a partnership with the kids game-based computing platform Tinker Toymaker. The lessons show girls, for example, how to build robots, get them to move at a dance party, or do jumping jacks. According to U.S. Department of Commerce statistics, only 24% of STEM jobs were held by women in 2017. Still in the US of A, Volkswagen has shown off the sporty side of its electric technology by setting an all-time record in the annual Pikes Peak International Hill Climb in Colorado.
Well, we've achieved first of all our target, which was the electric record, but we also made it to break the record of Loeb, break the 8-minute barrier. I think it's the first time an electric car wins a competition in a, let's say, an open class, because it's not only electric cars here. So I think it's a milestone for electric cars and also a milestone for our company, because 9 months working flat out day night with not much sleep with such a project is just fantastic.
The German car maker is spending billions on electric vehicles as it seeks to rebuild its reputation after a diesel emissions test cheating scandal. VW has a goal to sell 3 million electric cars per year across the group by 2025 and to offer an electric version of each of the group's 300 models by 2030. And now heading over to China. The country's tech giants are locked in a pop culture arms race for cartoons with a local flavor. Companies like Tencent and NetEase want characters to help sell everything from comics to video games. And they are turning to top cartoonists like Zhang Hongchang to fight this battle.
When I started, I was copying Japanese cartoons, but slowly I got my own style. I had to spend a lot of time getting to understand the Chinese market and what comic readers here want.
In the rush to create a Chinese Mickey Mouse or Iron Man, NetEase has even teamed up with Marvel to try Chinese-style superheroes. Issue 1 of Warriors of 3 Sovereigns debuted last month.
Now, with Instagram having reached over 1 billion users, this week our Twitter poll is asking if you enjoy using Instagram. Now, 47% of respondents say yes. That is the majority of those that responded. It's followed by 28% of the people who say nope, they don't enjoy using Instagram. Then there's 21% of those who say they've never used it before. In last place are people who say they don't have an opinion on this. That figure is at 4%. And that's all we have for you. Find us on SABC Network on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. Use network at sabc.co.za on email. We leave you with a video of a humanoid robot that was showcased here in Johannesburg. From me and the rest of the network team, have a good one. Good night.